is a radio station that went on the air in Los Angeles called 106.3 The Fizz. And it is a radio station that is a pop-up station, meaning it's only going to be on the air for about a month. They obviously licensed a frequency there. And it is completely 100% AI-generated radio. The DJs are AI. The music is all AI. And it is called The Fizz because it's basically a giant infomercial disguised as a radio station. It basically is a radio station designed to sell a new brand of soda. You know, there's this movement to try to make soda healthy, healthy versions of soda. I don't personally really drink soda, so I don't know much about this, but there are brands like Poppy and things like that that allegedly have some, at least healthier than a can of straight up Coke. So this new company, in order to market their product, is taken over this radio station and has had AI redo pop songs that sound like you kind of know the song, but they actually altered the lyrics to subtly be about soda and their product. Now, I'm not telling you all of this because of the product, because I don't know anything about the product or care. But I do think that, unfortunately, for my medium of radio, my platform of radio, my primary platform my whole life, for well over 40 years, this is a sign of things to come for my unfortunate brothers and sisters in this field of broadcasting. Because as clear as the writing on the wall, I mean, radio over the decades has taken its hits in terms of the amount of jobs out there, the opportunity, and how much of what you're listening to is actually real and actually live. And, you know, there's very, very little, there's in an amazingly rapidly increasing rate, there is very, very little music-based radio that you are listening to that is live. And now there is a rapidly increasing amount that might not even be real, meaning the voice you're hearing, the DJ you're hearing, is not a human. Now, I've talked about this before, you know, as a guy that started in radio decades ago. I've seen every evolution, good and bad. But without question, one of the things that has been completely obvious in the last 15, 20 years, especially, is, first of all, live used to be, every radio station, even if it was music-based, had to have a human being there 24/7 on the air. No more. That went away years ago because there's something called voice tracking. I know of radio stations that have one DJ there. Maybe one shift is live. The other is the guy records the other shifts. Or that somebody from another whole city just sends in these tracks. It's extraordinarily common. You'd be hard-pressed to find an overnight shift that is live in the country. Almost every radio station in the country overnight, meaning like midnight to 5, midnight to 6, is a computer. Even though it sounds like there's somebody there. For a lot of stations, especially small and medium market, it's way more than that. Sometimes none of it is a human being there. But that's one thing that's eaten up the gigs and the jobs and the opportunity. But now you're bringing in, and the insane rapid rate of emergence of AI, for good or bad, and there's a lot of bad too, but the crazy speed of what's happening around us right now might not even be a human being. Because even if you're running, say your radio station is all what's called voice tracked, not a human there at any time, and you're just taking one or two people and they're recording the tracks a day in advance and pumping them into the computer around the music. Very, very common. But you got to pay those people at least. You might not pay them what they pay. To do a 4-hour shift, you might not pay them what you'd pay a live human to sit there for 4 hours, but you got to pay them something, right? Now, if you can get a computer to do that, you don't have to pay anybody anything. And think about this, because again, I don't know how many of you guys know how radio really works now, but the program director or the music director of a radio station essentially picks every song you hear. That's another great fallacy, is people think that the DJ has something to do with what they play. In 95% of the instances, they have nothing to do with what they play, and haven't for decades. I used to always laugh when people would call a radio station and yell at the DJ on before or after me. You guys play the same shit every time. Play something different, man. What's wrong with you? And he can't say I got nothing to do with it, because you have to keep the illusion that person is playing what they want. But anyway, think about this. So the way it works is program director, music director, whoever sits in an office, and they chart out all the music and every song in order how it's going to play a day or two in advance, right? That's been going on for decades. Now, you have some sort of AI program built into your computer. The guy programming the music, after the fourth song, he wants the computer to say something. He can just put a mark there, and the AI will say, come on, with a human-sounding voice, that was Def Leppard, pour some sugar on me. You're listening to 106.7 The Fizz. Here's AC/DC. So it is, this to me, nothing to do with the product placement or what the actual reason for the radio station is, but the fact that there is now, in the number 2 market in the country, LA, that there is now a radio station that is 100% AI on the air. Man, if that is not a writing on the wall moment for my fellow broadcasters out there, which is why I am amazingly grateful and thankful that about 10 years ago, I transitioned into talk radio. I still do a couple music-based shows a week, and I love doing them, and it's great, and I still think it's important to play music. But when anybody comes to me, young people come to me and ask me about getting into radio, the first thing I say to them, do talk radio. Oh, yeah, but I like rock, or I like country, I want to be a DJ. You want to have a shot at a career, a shot at making some money, a shot at hanging around? Do talk radio, because it's somewhat AI proof. Now, even that I'm not sure is totally AI proof. Thinking and be able to answer calls and talk to people, and people are listening because of you and what you bring and what you create and that community. That's hard to do with a computer. Not to say it might not happen one day, but it's a hell of a lot safer than being a voice between songs every 6 songs, because that is the writing on the wall. And I'm not happy to say that, because I have so many friends that work in this business and that do that for a living. I'll tell you a quick story, because we got time today, because today's just like we're hanging today, and I'm going to get your calls, I promise. I'll give you a quick story, because I get a lot of emails from people that tell me they like hearing the pull the curtain back stories on radio when I tell them. So this is probably shit. Let me think. Oh my God, because the timelines here are blowing my mind. This is probably about 25 years ago. I'm working in New York City on the air for a radio station that's still on in New York, Q104. And they still carry a syndicated show of mine on the weekend, once a week. So the station was bought by the company that owns another New York City radio station called Light FM, which I think is still on the air. It's hugely successful. It's like light music, light rock, light pop, whatever. Every market has like a light radio station, right? So, yeah, AJ said it's still on. I don't listen to light music, but Light FM is huge. It's a huge station in New York City. Yeah, it's usually number 1. So anyway, at the time, 25 years ago, the company that owned the station I was working for, which was a classic rock station and still is, purchased the company that owned Light FM purchased it. At the time, it was Viacom. So I had just gotten off the air doing my shift at the classic rock station, and the program director sees me coming out of the studio. He goes, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm done. I'm going to go home." He goes, "You want to take a walk over to Light with me?" I said, "Yeah, I've never been over there." It was in Times Square. It was a couple blocks away. I say, "I'll take a walk with you." "Sure." He goes, "Yeah, come over and check it out." So we go over there. And at this point, even 25 years ago, the music, the way it works, again, it's all pre-picked. And it's all just a click in a computer. And it's like trips. It's just like a streaming thing. It's just click, click, click. Even the imaging, the stuff in between, 1067, you're listening to, it's all pre-recorded. And it just trips, 6, 8 songs, whatever. So we're going over there. It's afternoon drive at this point. And the guy who was the afternoon drive DJ, I forget his name at the time, but he was like an institution. And we're going over there, and the program director who is going to me, "Yeah, I think it was Steve." He goes, "Steve's on the air, man." He goes, "Guy's making huge money, and he's kicking ass in the ratings and all of that." And I was like, "Oh, good for him." So we go over, get to the station. PD does what he has to do, and he goes, "Come in and meet Steve. Go and check out their studio here." So go into the studio. I'll never forget, the guy is sitting on a big swivel chair behind the console, and he's wearing a shirt and tie, which immediately to me was like, thank God I don't do this radio. I got into radio because it didn't matter what the hell you look like. Didn't have to wake up in the morning, except for when I did mornings, and it didn't matter what I looked like. No dress code. This guy's slack shirt, tie. I'll never forget how weird that struck me, but people that do that, whatever, to each their own. And the guy's sitting there, and he's like behind the console, and I was reading the newspaper or something, and the music's just tripping, and the computer's just firing everything, and he's got his feet up on the desk, and he's reading his paper, and he sees us walk in. "Hey, guys, hey, how you doing?" He, of course, knew the PD, and he's like, "Hey, this is Eddie. He works for me at the Classic Rock." "Oh, yeah, nice to meet you, man." I was like, "Yeah, good to meet you, whatever." And we're talking for like 15 minutes, and the music's just tripping, and 1067 Light FM. Here's the Carpenters or whatever, right? So we're sitting there talking. And the guy goes, "Oh, guys, hold on a second. I'm up. Give me a minute." Takes his feet off the console, swings around, song is ending, hits the mic button. "Hey, this is Steve, and you're listening to 1067 Light FM." Turns the mic off, swings the chair around, feet back up. "Yeah, so what were we talking about now?" He goes, "Sorry, just had to make some magic right there." The guy did that like twice an hour, read the weather once, and was probably making like $500,000 a year, maybe more. And as much as I was envious as hell, I also said to myself, there's no way that guy's keeping his job. Because at that time, digital was starting to happen, and voice tracking started to happen, and pre-recorded stuff was starting to come in. So we left, and I walked across Times Square with my boss at the time, and back to our station, and I said to him, I go, "Man," I said, "what a cush gig that is." I said, I'd be a little worried if that was that guy." He goes, "What are you talking about worried?" He goes, "He's got the #1 ratings, and his afternoon drive, he's #1. He's they would never mess with." I don't know, man. I don't know. I think people are listening for it's elevator music. I don't know. They're definitely not listening for whoever's saying whatever they're saying between the songs. They're not saying anything. You're not doing anything. You're crazy. You guy's an institution. 2 weeks later, comes out in the paper, they canned the guy. I don't mean to laugh. The guy made probably millions of dollars doing that, so I'm sure he's more than fine. But they canned the guy. And then I remember, it's like the radio trades and everything. It's like, what is Light FM going to do in the afternoons? Oh my God, this #1 station, they just let the jock go. It's going to be, the bottom's going to fall out. And I'm reading, I'm like, nothing's going to happen. Nothing's going to happen. It's going to be the same exact rating. And sure enough, and I'm not always right, but sure enough, I was right. And nothing changed. There's nobody in the dentist office that was listening because of that guy saying, Light FM. But he pulled smoke and mirrors for years. Never forget it. Shirt and tie, feet up on a console, reading the New York Post. Hold on, guys, I got to make some magic. 107, Light FM. All right, what were we talking about now? Yeah, how about those Rangers? My whole career, I'm pulling my hair out. I'm doing overnights. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. I'm picking up extra work. I'm driving to Long Island, getting lost before there was GPS, trying to do appearances for $200 to stand at some bar till 2 o'clock in the morning. This guy's sitting there 3 o'clock in the afternoon reading the paper, having his tea, not a care in the world. Ironclad contract. But you know what? He's not sitting there talking about Dio versus Ozzy. So take that. Anyway, I know I went off the rails there with the story time with Eddie here, but it just was coming to me. When I read this story about now where we're at, where you've got a station on the air in LA right now, where the music's not made by a human and the humans aren't humans. To me, very much similar to the writing on the wall I saw that day 25 years ago, happening as we speak here in June of 2025.